Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez. This is episode 456. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Prez. That is at _Presidente on Twitter and just at Presidente on Blue Sky. Prez, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Just another round of shoveling snow here in DC, which is very unusual. So
Did you have to buy a shovel for this?
thankfully, I did not have to buy a shovel, but I did have to dust it off.
Nice. Well, the Knicks have plenty to dust off. We're going to talk about that. And to talk about that, we are joined by first-time guest of the pod. His name is Bailey Liao. You can follow him on Twitter at Bailey Liao 1. He is a contributor to Strickland, and he has his own YouTube channel, which is at Play-by-Play Film Breakdown. Bailey, how are you doing?
Good. I'm excited to be here. Excited to join the pod and get into it.
Yep. Wish it could be under happier circumstances, but that is neither here nor there. Well, before we get started, I do have to make a few announcements. First being that Strickland has a YouTube channel where you may be watching this podcast. If you are, and you haven't done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merch, which you can find on our website at www.strick.land. There's a link to take you to the merchandise store, and there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can find on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we've got it. Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier. That gets you access to Pod Strickland's podcast that we host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes from Obvious Bozos, a podcast hosted by Andrew Steele, a.k.a. Doug, along with Zach Blatter. And you get access to the Strickland Discord where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, my solo pod where I rant around the next even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Miranda, one of the best in the business. And you get access to Strictly NFL, which you guessed it is a podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Konstantin Metrikos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and a $100 tier that's come with a variety of additional benefits, like listening in on pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially hosting a podcast alongside yours truly, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this would be possible without you. And none of this would be possible without BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Okay, so the Knicks got absolutely dog-walked yesterday by the Oklahoma City Thunder, 126-101, a game that showed the gulf in class that exists right now between these two teams in a way that was very disappointing, given that the matchup a week ago actually felt somewhat encouraging to me, despite the loss. This was not that. This was a highly discouraging performance from the Knicks, and I gotta say, I want to say this. I thought Jalen Brunson played probably. I said this in the postgame yesterday. I thought his performance yesterday was disgraceful. Not going to mince any words. I thought it was a total joke. And that third quarter yesterday was, I don't know if you guys watched that Sixers Warriors game from a couple weeks ago where Joel Embiid did absolutely nothing in the first half and then came out in the third quarter and put up a bunch of fucking numbers, which were cool for him and looked great for people that probably have him on his fantasy team, but served absolutely no purpose in actually making an attempt at getting the Sixers back in the game. And that is exactly what I thought Jalen Brunson did yesterday in the third quarter. He did a great job of getting into the paint, getting to the line, scoring twos. And that's all good and great and wonderful in a tight game, in a game where you're up comfortably, in a game where you're trying to hold the lead. Less so when you're trying to bridge a 27-point gap like the Knicks had at halftime. And he has refused to take threes lately. In his last 10 games, he's attempting just 4.7 threes over that time. Sorry, in his last 7 games, that's when he goes, first put on the injury report, the calf strain. He's just averaging 4.73 attempts per game. That's 21.2% from three. In his last 5 games, he has attempted 4, 1, 4, 2. Just not even looking to take threes. And I just did not like his energy throughout the game, and I thought his post-game comments were weird. These are things he said after the game. He was asked, when you said we didn't play Knicks basketball, what does that mean to you? Jalen Brunson, it means a lot to me, and it means something in this locker room, and we're going to hold that to our heart. I don't know what that means, but congrats to him for holding that to his heart. He also said, tonight we did the wrong things and failed. Every single day we have to keep building and keep chipping away, just not lose faith, not lose confidence. Yeah, tonight sucked. That's plain and simple. Tomorrow we wake up, we watch film, and get better. And then also, we just did not play Knicks basketball today. Why these comments are annoying to me? Prez, do you know why these comments are annoying to me? Take a guess. Take a wild guess. Or don't. Lot of we in these comments. All of a
There
sudden.
we go. My bad. Sorry. Can you hear
A lot
me?
of we. Yeah, now I can hear you, but you lost your chance. Sorry. Lot of we, not a lot of I, which is a stark departure from comments he's made before. I just wanted to say I did not like his performance yesterday at all. I didn't like his energy. He got a call early in the second half and was like, finally. And I'm like, dude, we're down 26 points. I don't need to hear you like complaining about the whistle. One thing also interesting about this stretch of these last 7 games, he's actually attempting 9.3 free throws per game. That's well above his season average of 7. So I don't really understand this notion of like he's not getting calls or he's getting a bad whistle, like egregious. Yesterday certainly wasn't the case. And to me, it just looks like a player who right now is mired in some kind of mental funk where his decision making it's consistent. It's consistently the same thing over and over again. And it's him trying to force his way into the paint. And it doesn't feel like he's reading defenses very well. He doesn't seem comfortable when he gets blitzed or trapped, which is annoying because that's something that he was extremely comfortable with by the end of last season. And then it's like I brought this play up yesterday, but it's really small things where I notice, and this is something that I felt all year, where it doesn't feel like when he gets an advantage, great, but then it feels like he's trying to make an extra move or an extra fake or an extra pump fake to get an even bigger advantage, and it actually allows defenses back into play. He had a play yesterday in the third quarter that I thought highlighted this, even though it ended up with him getting an open bucket anyway. He came off a screen. I forgot who said it. I don't know. Probably was Josh Hart, since Hartenstein was the one that ended up on Brunson. But he comes off a screen, kind of from the wing, drives straight down to the baseline, and Dort peels off of him, takes away the pass to the roll man, and Hartenstein is effectively now defending Brunson. He's well off of him, and so Brunson, as he gets to the free throw line, he has all the space in the world, and he should be able to see that Dort is taking away the pocket pass. So automatically your read there, especially for a shooter as good as him from the mid-range, is let me just raise up and take this free throw line jumper. No question about it. He didn't do that. He got to the free throw line, and then he had to do a pump fake to make sure, let me make sure that Hartenstein is not going to do anything crazy. I don't know what he would have done in that position anyway. Did the pump fake and then took a little fading free throw line jumper, which went in. But that, to me, that weird hesitation when you have a clear advantage, when you have space, this is something that I've felt just come into his game to excessive levels this season, where it's like, and if you want the premium examples of this, you can go watch, both the games they had against Atlanta, where Dyson Daniels had him in hell every time he tried to dribble inside the arc. But part of that is him compounding his own issues, where it's like, if you have a step on Dyson Daniels, you're better off just playing with that step versus let me, stop, pump fake, do 15 fucking pivots, and then try to do something, because Daniels is a really disciplined defender, and he's obviously got a size advantage on Brunson. You're actually giving him the opportunity to get back in the play. And it's just small things like that. It's like when I see him get a swing pass at the top of the key and he doesn't even have it in his mind, let me take this shot. It's okay, now let me try and get back into the paint here. It's coming off of screens with zero intent to take a three. And Josh Hart made those comments about, guys got to put away their egos or whatever after the game. And I can't say that he's talking about Brunson for sure. But what I can say is that I think the way that Brunson is playing right now, do I think he's like an inherently selfish player, that he's just right out here right now looking for his numbers? No, I don't think so. But I think he's had a weird season. Like, he's just been more streaky than he has in past years. And I think he's cognizant of that. I think he feels that the way that we all can feel that. And he's searching. I think he's really searching for that rhythm that he had consistently, especially towards the end of last season. He's trying to find it. And that, I think, is coming at the expense of some of the really nice flow and overall rhythm and movement, ball and player movement that we saw in the offense in November and December. And in these early, this early week, kind of from like that Christmas game to now, I think you're seeing a lot of just stagnant, slow, deliberate possessions that are being initiated by him. And it's kind of funny because if you look back at the last few weeks, I would say the best game they played, just from like how the team feels, like how it's all flowing together offensively perspective, would be the game he didn't play against Utah. And that is kind of what I think Hart is talking about. And I think that has an effect on other guys. Like, I think yesterday, Mikal Bridges was a very dutiful corner shooter. He didn't make any, but he certainly did his job of spacing the floor in the corners. And OG Anunoby did his job of spacing the floor in the corners. And it just all felt very, very rigid. And against a team like OKC, who's going to challenge you anyway, the way they shrink the court, if you're going to play that way, you really need to be taking pull-up threes to some level. And Brunson didn't do that. Forget pull-up threes, take pull-up jumpers of any kind. And he just didn't do it. I thought he played an atrocious game yesterday. And I think, for all the praise he got deservedly last season, and his first 2 seasons for his leadership and obviously just his output, these last couple weeks have been as bad as he's played from a process and decision-making perspective. And that's fine. Like, that happens to players at various points in their careers and seasons. All those things can be an issue. But the Knicks are not going to be what they can be or what they hope to be until Brunson, quite frankly, gets his big ass head out of his ass.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything. Like, he's obviously in the biggest rut of this season and probably of the past 2 seasons. And I think what's like really, really challenging is that rut is compounded every single game because there's nothing else that we're running except, can you just get yourself out of this rut by doing the same exact actions? Like, no one else is helping you out. So, like, I'm not absolving Brunson of any blame. Like, obviously he needs to play better. Obviously he needs to like make better decisions. At the end of the day, every possession is going to end with Brunson getting the ball and Brunson creating. And I think I noticed it especially in this OKC second game. They're packing the paint on every drive when this team was built to be a 5-out spacing shooting team. So, like, you have to be able to take advantage of that. And, like, if OKC knows that Brunson's going to ISO here and he's just going to drive and, like, do those pump fakes we're talking about and, like, take an extra dribble and try to press one more advantage, they're fine with that. Like, go do that. We're going to pack it. If you pass it out, do we trust that Hart, Mikal, OG, are they able to press this advantage? I'm getting a little worried that teams are just going to think we're not worried about it. Like, here, pass the ball if you want. We're going to pack the paint. You're not going to get your shots. And Brunson has to be able to make those decisions better as well. But there's also some part of it that, like, everyone else needs to be able to create a shot. Everyone else needs to be able to press the advantage a little bit better. And, I mean, this game was just tough for everyone else as well. Like, yes, Brunson played really, really bad, but I think all around, when he's in a run, at some point you have to just be like, someone else create an opportunity. Like, Hart and Cat run a pick and roll, create an opportunity. Maybe Brunson can get the ball off an advantage and let him play a little bit off an advantage to help him get his shot back. But there's no point in seeing this happen, being like Brunson's not playing well. Cool, let's ISO him again, right? Like it just needs to come from somewhere else once in a while, and I think that's been a little bit of the struggle I've been having, especially after watching that OKC game. Like, where is that going to come from? I almost want like Hart, OG, and McHale every single practice to go play ones in a corner. Like, you guys just figure out how to get that confidence to shoot more. And that's another thing, right? Like when you saw them not having their shots fall. I mean, McHale probably a little better than OG, but like that, you have to just keep on shooting no matter what.
Yeah.
My issue with the guys is like they did try to create a little bit, but like the problem is versus OKC, you have to be ready to pass. You can't hesitate. Like anytime OG tried some mismatch creation, which normally is never beautiful, as Shwin points out regularly.
I need 0 OG creation reps. That's what I need.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind the OG mismatch thing, but like you have to be very careful against OKC because you're never one-on-one. You're never playing one-on-one against OKC. And every single time they shaded and dared anybody to pass, odds are they didn't pass, whether it was Brunson, McCall, OG. And to make matters worse, there was a lot of non-reactivity by the Knicks players off the ball. There was a lot of standing and watching of Brunson, and it's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing, where it's like, okay, he's gonna do his Brunson thing. I'm gonna just be in the corner or whatever. But like the amount of times you could count how many Knicks were below, for example, the free throw line extended, I would say it was probably like 75% of the game. Like they would pack the paint, and McCall and Hart and OG, none of them would lift. None of them would lift to the top of the key. They would just watch, or there'd be two of them in the corner. Like Hart would go like sort of set a screen for somebody, but not but then the other person wouldn't recognize it. Or they would do the thing that works against a lot of teams, which is instead of lifting, they would cut. But you can't really, you got to be very careful about cutting versus OKC because everybody got an 8-foot wingspan, and it's like 5 of these motherfuckers with gangly arms just in the paint. So that shit doesn't work, and your margins are much smaller. Cat tried to force several passes into cutters that were just deflected. So like basically what I saw was a team that, and part of this is on tips, they made no adjustments throughout the game to OKC. In the past, you've seen the Knicks kind of, they often can out talent other teams, and sometimes they'll make some strategic adjustments like, oh, like a team is ignoring Hart, we're gonna put Hart on the ball more or whatever. But like as shitty as all the Knicks players were yesterday, and it was real shitty, like the Knicks didn't do anything to adjust to OKC's game plan. Like it was just baffling to me. Like, I don't know whether it's the players or Tibbs or both, but like, you can't just keep throwing passes to cutters in a crowd. You can't keep just taking pull-up twos in a crowd if you're Brunson. The only person who tried to adjust at all was Hart by occasionally trying to push the pace, or when Hartenstein was off of him, he would go get the ball. Hart was the only one who didn't have an ass cheeks game to me, because he was the only one with his head on his shoulders. And I'm going to say all that, and that wasn't even the thing that was most fucking annoying to me in the game. It was the defense, right? Like, everybody's going to get locked up by OKC sometimes. It's unfortunate. You don't want it to be your favorite team. But what you can't see is OKC looking like Boston on the other end. Like, that's, to me, a little easy to lose sight of in light of all the foibles of the offense. But the Knicks have really been in a rut now for a couple of games. The Chicago game, the Orlando game, the Toronto game, not as much because Toronto they kind of just stink at offense, but like they just have been really shaky on defense. And yesterday, I'm gonna do a thread later with some video, but like it was bad. It was some of the worst pick and roll defense I'd seen. I don't have it in front of me, but I think OKC made something like 16 of 24 shots in the paint outside of the restricted area. And a lot of that is SGA being an MVP caliber scorer, but like y'all will see when I put the video how many times like not just Mikal, but also OG, who defended Shea for like a significant number of possessions, just didn't do anything when they were screened. And then Cat didn't put a hand up at all. Not just versus SGA, versus everyone, versus iHeart and his floater. Yeah, what's up?
Go finish.
Nah, I was just gonna say, like, to me, like the sign of terrible pick and roll defense is like teams are getting the shots they want inside the paint, whether that's at the rim or in the mid range. And with a team like OKC that has two excellent mid range shooters in SGA and Jalen, and three if you include iHeart's little bullshit floater bombs that he used to do for us. Chicago scored a gazillion points in the short mid range. Toronto shot over 50% in the short mid range. Orlando shot over 50% in the short mid range. Every single game except for the last OKC game in this recent stretch, teams have killed us in there. So the pick and roll defense has been bad. And then on top of that, you compound that with shitty off-ball defense, which is how you let Isaiah Joe turn into fucking Larry Bird for a game. So you have guys falling asleep. You got Payne and Shamet being back cut multiple times and just straight up losing Isaiah Joe, even though he's the best shooter on the Thunder. Like, it was just a complete clusterfuck on defense. And it's just like that to me is more frustrating because that's like just not being ready, right? I don't want to say lazy, but it's definitely not being ready. And to me, like, you got a game versus a potential championship team and you're not ready. Like, why the fuck are you even here? Like, just go home. Like, let us enjoy the rest of our evenings as fans and not waste our time if you're not gonna fucking bring it.